Production funding for Flying Squirrels Insider is made possible in part by
811 is the number to call before you dig. 811 will help avoid fines, knocking out utility service, even injury. So call 811 before you dig.
and James Limousine, driven to serve Richmond for 22 years. JamesLimousine.com, 804-273-1540.
Pitch to Duffy, driven to deep right center field. He'll pull into third with a triple. Flashed into left field. Duffy's got it. The shovel to Tomlinson. Relay on to first and Pesa. Swung on and missed. Speared by Blackburn. Parker galloping in. Will slide and make the catch. Hello once again, everybody, and welcome to Flying Squirrels Insider. I'm your host, John Laser. My buddies, Wes McElroy, Jay Burnham. We get to them in just a moment. We talk about a surge for the Flying Squirrels back near the top of the Western Division standings. But before we do, we welcome in our other buddy, Utility Buddy from the City of Richmond Department of Public Utilities. Utility Buddy, instrumental in conveying safety messages about natural gas, stormwater drainage, and calling 811 before you dig. To learn more information, visit richmondgov.com/DPU or call 646-7000. DPU is here for you. You see Utility Buddy there over on FSI Field. A little bit later on this episode, we're going to be joined by our James Limousine Luxury Squirrel of the Week, and that is catcher Jackson Williams. We'll talk with Jackson about his return to the River City, and also he'll teach you how to catch that tricky foul pop. Also, text FSI to 63975, brought to you by Opt-in Technologies. You could win some Flying Squirrels free stuff. All right, that out of the way. Jay Burnham, this team got off to a very poor start to the season. That goes without saying, but now they're the hottest team in the Eastern League. How has that happened?
Remarkable turnaround for this team, and they never second-guessed their ability to hit. But look at what they did in April, hitting just .209 as a club. Now a league best .286 in the month of May. That's led to the 17-9 record this month. A remarkable surge for this club.
Wes, any other reasons?
Locking it down in the bullpen. Josh Oshich, 9 saves so far, and look what he's done. He's got the cutter, he's got the changeup, he's got the fastball at 96. He's allowed only 5 walks. He's been fantastic. He's been on point, and if you think about what this team, that bad stretch, how many more saves he could have had if he had the opportunities, but so far he just gets hotter as the summer does.
So, based upon our expert analysis, Squirrels are winning because they're hitting better and they're pitching better. We're not going to leave it right there, though. We're going to break it down a little bit further. We'll get back to Osich and the bullpen towards the end of this segment, Jay, but let's stay with the offense, and let's just run right through this like it is the Flying Squirrels batting order. You take the table setters, Kelby Tomlinson, Rando Moreno. That's become a dynamic duo. Yeah,
and they've really solidified Moreno in that 2-hole. Look at what Kelby Tomlinson has been able to do. He's a top 5 hitter within the Eastern League. He's also hitting with authority and has the ability to steal bases. You and I have actually compared his start this season to one that Matt Duffy had last year for Richmond. Counter that with a surprise in Rando Moreno, who has been just such a thrill to watch defensively. Those two at second and short. You could be looking at the starting middle infield for the Eastern League All-Star game in Portland come later on this season.
Did anybody notice how there was a twinkle in Jay's eye when he mentioned Rando Moreno? Jay, real quickly, you've developed a man crush on this guy.
Yeah, sorry, Jack Snodgrass. Rando Moreno has been such a thrill to watch. Defensively, he's a stalwart at short. He's able to lay down sacrifice bunts, but it's just an interesting set of circumstances for him to come from really nowhere with last season in Augusta and San Jose to come around and have such a thriving season here in the Eastern League. So hopefully more to come for Rando.
So those guys on base, Wes, you got to sit down with Mac Williamson this week. He leads this team in runs batted in. He continues to get guys over, get them in. What were his thoughts on his success thus far?
Really, it's been about learning. He's so smart. He's so locked in right now. We talked about this last show, how Kenny Joyce got to him, said he was a little bit pool happy. And the reason that was, I asked him, and he brought something to my attention that we talk about, we don't recognize. It's the amount of times the Squirrels have played the same teams over and over. And we're so used to talking about hitters being accustomed to pitchers. Well, this is pitchers being accustomed to hitters. He had to make the transitions. He wasn't working his hands. He was getting it too far inside. Pitchers were throwing him inside. He was jamming them. He came to light. Kenny Joyce helmed. Right now, he's just so locked in. He's been smart with the ball, and he's seeing everything.
And guys, if everybody 1 through 9 was hitting every night, this team would have won 20 games in a row and everybody would have moved on to a higher level. 3-4 shuffle has really helped Mac Williamson, as Wes points out. But Jay, we saw Mitch Delfino down to the 6th spot last night. He actually had a nice night, but that 3-4 switch hasn't really benefited him.
Yeah, Delfino opened the season as the Squirrels 3-hitter, then as you referenced with the swap, Williams hitting 3rd, Delfino 4th, and then some struggles for Delfino, not only at the plate, but in the field. And I think those two were connected for Mitch when the Squirrels were able to bring him down in the order a bit with the way that Devin Harris has been able to swing it. I think that's going to benefit Delfino going forward.
And again, a nice night for Mitch at the plate last night, batting in the 6th spot in the order for the first time, guys. And the reason that Jose Aguasil West was able to do that is because of what Ricky Oropesa has done in the 5 spot.
Look, Ricky Oropesa, past 10 games, 333. That's what he's done the last 10 games. But we also go back to what the season was. He couldn't hit the ball out of the infield. He was pressing. He was a guy who was in competition for the first base job. You get a situation where one guy goes on the DL, it opens up more playing time. It's just familiarity, and he's really made the most of it. He's got comfortable, great conversations with Augie, and he's another guy who's locked in right now.
Later on in this episode, I'll deliver a message about our guys. Well, Ricky Oropesa is one of our guys as well. It's great to see him, of course, clicking right now, and he has been a big part of this surge for the Flying Squirrels. So has Devin Harris, Jay. We could have talked about him in the 2 spot. He's fluctuated a bit through the order, but he belongs in the middle.
Yeah, he does actually hit cleanup last night and had a bases-clearing double. The Squirrels, 49 doubles in the month of May, and a large part of that is because of the way Devin has been able to swing the bat. Look, he had a pretty good season here last year with the Squirrels. He had 13 home runs, got on base with consistency. This is the next step for Harris. He's really seeing the baseball well. He hasn't swung at pitches out of the strike zone, and he's a force to be reckoned with for the Squirrels in the middle part of that order.
Javier Herrera has unfortunately landed on the disabled list right now for the Flying Squirrels, but you do have the versatility, Wes, because, of course, you can plug pretty much anywhere you want Miles Schroeder, who was with us last week.
With all due respect to our corporate sponsor, he is the Squirrels utility buddy. Look at this. Six times at first base, 11 starts at second base, 2 times at third, 10 times in the outfield. That's a lot to ask of anybody, but he does it, and he produces at the plate. I mean, the guy, you just say, okay, go play, and he'll say where, and then he just does it.
Yeah, we've seen him to this point at 3 different positions in the same game, holding down center field a few times. Saw him at third base a little bit, came in late last night at second base. All right, Jay, you're the negative one in the office and here at FSI. I kid. He's a ray of sunshine, guys. You can see it. But today, Daniel Carbonell. It's been swinging it a little bit better the last couple of days, but it's been a struggle for him.
Yeah, and the Eastern League pitchers have used the aggression of Carbonell at the plate against him. It hasn't worked. He needs to take a little bit more of a patient approach. But look, this is a guy that's coming over from Cuba. He takes English lessons in the office every single day, still getting adapted to where he is in his environment. So I think the more Carbonell feels comfortable here with the Squirrels in the locker room in the city of Richmond, in the country, the United States of America, I think he's going to be able to have that translate to on the field. But he just looks out of sorts at times, defensively and offensively. And I think the Squirrels, the way they're hitting right now, you're able to hide them down there a bit in the bottom of the order.
Yeah, absolutely. And right now at the bottom of the order, we saved the best for last. I'm not just saying that because he's sitting behind the camera looking at me and he's with us here today, but catcher Jackson Williams. And Wes, we see Jax, he gets to the big leagues last year, comes off a knee injury, and I think steadily we're starting to see him become that dynamic presence both sides of the ball that we remember.
Think about all the things he's got to do. First of all, you just got to make your regular in-game adjustments. You're dealing with different personalities and pitchers on the staff, and he's done that so far. He's 15-39 with base stealers, but those numbers are manipulated. He's come on so strong, and here's another thing he's come on strong at, the plate. Past 7 games, he's had 4 multi-hit games.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to get Jackson's thoughts about that injury last year and his time in the big leagues and coming back here to the River City. Again, he is our James Limousine Luxury Player of the Week. He'll be with us on FSI Field in just a couple of moments. Guys, I did want to spend a little time on the bullpen today. Starting rotation's been solid, but the bullpen has really rode to the rescue, including Josh Osage at the back end. He looks like a big leaguer this year, Jay. Why is that the case?
Well, don't we know what a big leaguer looks like at this level in the back end of the bullpen? Hunter Strickland last year, Cody Hall, Derek Law. He is in that line for those guys. He's fully healthy this season. His fastball's at 94 miles an hour, but he doesn't have to throw just the fastball. The changeup, which has been such a weapon for him over the course of his career, is a plus pitch, and now developing that cutter pitch as well, which is also an average to above pitch. So a guy coming out of the pen throwing heat with 3+ pitches, definitely a big league reliever.
Got that cutter that you referenced, and he looked sharp with it the other night. Again, we'll talk maybe about that with Jackson Williams as well. Wes, the Giants re-signed Edwin Quirarte. He's, of course, a good friend of this show and any other broadcast that we do, and just in general, he has been a stable figure here. But why does he change everything in that Richmond bullpen, speaking of stability.
That's it, stability. You can bring him in and he can stop a game. He can stop a game from getting out of control. If a game's getting sloppy, getting runny, you bring him in, he can eat up innings for you, he can eat up outs, and he's a guy you know what you're going to get, and that's why the Giants want to bring him back. And he's a good veteran presence for some of the younger guys in the pen.
And pretty much that describes J. Pedro Rodriguez also.
Yeah, and let me back up with Edwin Quirarte as well. Those two guys, Rodriguez, Quirarte, and even throw Phil McCormick in there as well. When starting pitchers leave the game, there's guys on base. This is the starting pitcher's best friend because he strands inherited runners. Not easy to do, not a thing that a lot of hard throwers can do coming out of the bullpen. So having those guys being able to bridge to Steven Johnson, Yohan Gregorio, and the aforementioned Josh Osich makes for such a solid bevy of weapons out of the bullpen.
And you mentioned Steven Johnson right there. A couple of other bullpen arms for the Flying Squirrels, maybe with the biggest stuff out of the pen, save for Josh Osich, are Gregorio and Johnson. Johnson scuffling a bit of late, but we've seen him be very dynamic, and we got Gregorio back on the hill last night after he was dealing with a little bit of knee stiffness. So I think essentially you get the sense that this team right now, just quite simply, is playing very solid and consistent baseball as they look to make it a sweep to end this homestand, which we're currently on, and then get back out on the road for the longest road trip in Flying Squirrels franchise history. On that road trip, the guys won't be being treated to their walk-up music. However, they are at the Diamond, the music that enters your favorite Squirrels to the field of play. We debut our new correspondent, Morgan Conklin, as FSI continues, and we get explanations as to why they choose the ditties that they do as FSI continues.
Hi, I'm Morgan Conklin with Flying Squirrels Insider, and today we're going to take a closer look at some of the guys' walk-up songs.
I picked it after a long bout, several months of heavy usage of psychedelics.
Growing up, I was a big fan of the Rocky movies. It's in Rocky 4.
Client picked for me. It was Shut 'Em Down by Public Enemy. It was his walkout.
Did you shut him down with it?
Quite a few times I did. Quite a few times I didn't.
I don't even know what it is.
You don't know what it is?
No. It said something about some Ninja Turtle movie or something like that.
Knock, knock, you about to get shell shocked. That's my fam, I'll hold them down forever. Us against the world, we can battle whoever.
Last year, I guess they played it in the playoffs, and it kind of got the crowd into it up in San Francisco. So Duffy told me about it and kind of listened to it a little bit this offseason. My previous walkout before that was Blow by Kesha. This place is about to blow.
Hablando de mujeres y traiciones, se fueron consumiendo las botellas.
When you hit, you have a different song that you walk up to the plate with. What is that?
It's Beastie Boys' Do It. And it's a totally different flow than what I pitch to usually because I typically strike out and I need some like positive vibes.
I heard a rumor that sometimes the umpires get a little sick of it since you are the leadoff man and they hear it a lot. How do you feel about that?
It's kind of funny. The umpire did say that to me the other day.
Hello, my name is Child of the One True King. I've been saved, I've been changed, I have been set free.
First one, Trap Queen by Fetty Wap. Second one, DMX. And my third one's Beyonce.
Hope you enjoyed hearing some of the background information for some of the guys' songs. Back to you guys in the studio.
A great job by Morgan Conklin. We welcome her to our FSI team, as we do now Jackson Williams, our James Limousine Luxury Player of the Week. He is with me here on FSI Field. Jackson, welcome.
Thanks, John. I'm glad to be here.
Well, of course, you were a member of the inaugural Squirrels back in 2010. You were here when baseball was brought back, and now you've been brought back. You've been around. You've been to the big leagues. How does it feel to be back here in Richmond this year?
Feels good, it's good baseball here in the Eastern League, obviously you've been here long enough to know this is a tough league. you know, and really, I mean, compared to other leagues, this is probably more tailored to the big league side of baseball than most other leagues. You know, just the kind of pitching that you run into here, the ballparks that you play in and day out, and you know, it's good to be back.
And you came in, like I said, back in 2010, a very heralded group of position players back then. Pretty much all prospects. A lot of you guys have gone on to pitch and play in the major leagues. Just wanted for you to let fans know where you've been, how you eventually broke into the big leagues last year.
Well, obviously came up with the Giants from 07 to 2013, and those last 3 years I was up in Fresno, AAA. I was a free agent after the 13th season, and signed with the Rockies. You know, went to Major League camp with them, and you know, we got pretty close to making the team out of camp. But you know, got sent back to AAA. Spent most of the season there, and then finally got the call. You know, well, the main one towards the end of August. You know, I went up for 3 days there in June, but you know, didn't see the field, and you know, but nonetheless, it was exciting, and you know, finally made it back up there at the end of August, and made my debut, and it was awesome, man. I mean, it was you know, a long time coming.
What goes through your mind? You step into a big league batter's box the first time.
Oh, there's too much to single anything out. You know, I mean, you're just taking everything in. You know, just trying to get a hit. You know, I mean, obviously you want to get it out of the way that first at bat. But you know, no, I mean, there's just tons of things run through your head. You know, I mean, everything seems like it was kind of a blur. You know, those first couple games that I played in, just because of, you know, everything that's run through your head.
Well, I'd imagine that feeling and those emotions are what drive you to get back, and you're coming back off a knee injury. You've got dual roles, though, this year, trying to, of course, work your own way back to the major leagues, but also helping these young pitchers. How are those challenges separate, but at the same time equal, so to speak?
You know, I would never classify them as separate. You know, I mean, regardless of where I'm at or who I'm working with, you know, my job first and foremost is to get the most out of my pitcher on a daily basis. You know, so I mean, whether it's a younger guy or a veteran guy, you know, I try to get that good relationship and build that rapport with my pitcher to where we're always on the same page. He feels comfortable with you know, what I'm doing back there, and you know, we can just go. You know, we got that rhythm and we just go, and you know, he's you know, throwing strikes, you know, feeling good with all his pitches, and you know, working deep into ball games.
And this year's headline prospect is, of course, right-hander Kyle Crick, back with the Flying Squirrels for a second season. Looked like you two have developed a great rapport. I know he's told me he trusts you completely. In your opinion, where is he, and how close is he to putting things together?
He's getting closer. He's getting closer. You know, I mean, with him, obviously, his big thing is just throwing strikes. You know, and you know, one thing that I've challenged him to do more than anything is just repeat his delivery. You know, and not try to do too much. I mean, obviously, you know, you see the kind of fastball that he's got, and you know, he's got exceptional breaking ball, you know, and a good changeup to go with it. But you know, if he can't get the fastball over the plate, then, you know, it kind of washes the other ones out. So his big thing, you know, is getting ahead of guys and staying ahead of guys, and really having that short memory of, you know, because in the past his struggles have been with throwing balls, and not getting that mindset to where if he falls behind a guy, you know, getting back to that mindset of, you know, maybe, oh no, here we go again. You know, I'm going to start walking guys, and, you know, really having that short memory of, you know, regardless of what happened with the last pitch, you know, forget it and move on to the next one. And, you know, he definitely made some big strides in the right direction.
Jackson Williams is our James Limousine Luxury Player of the Week. Last week, that was Miles Schroeder. You guys actually are roommates. You live about 2 blocks from here, from the studio. Mm-hmm. My quick question to you, would you like to be year-long correspondents for us?
You know, I wouldn't frown upon it, but at the same time,
you got to focus on baseball.
Yeah,
Jackson's going to focus on baseball, but when we come back, he's going to teach us a little bit about baseball and the art of catching that pesky foul pop. How exactly does he approach that? We kick out the chairs and we get to the game when we come back on FSI. All right, chairs are gone. Time to play baseball, our favorite segment here on FSI as we take it to FSI Field with our James Limousine Luxury Player of the Week, Jackson Williams. As you can see, he is where he belongs, behind the plate. Jay Burnham in that left-handed batter's box, which actually is where he belongs as well. He's going to be a pop fly machine for us because, Jax, we are going to show our younger viewers and viewers as a whole today the art of catching that foul pop, which is quite a bit more tricky than people might imagine. And I want to start with, I believe, the trickiest one of all, that foul pop that goes straight up over you towards the backstop. What are you looking for on that play, and what do you need to do fundamentally to make that play?
You know, first and foremost, John, it's all about finding the baseball. You know, I mean, because when you're back there catching the ball goes straight up, you don't really have that vision of it going straight up off the bat. You know, so I mean, first and foremost, you gotta get your mask off and turn around and try to find a ball. And you know, more often than not, the ball's gonna have a lot of backspin on it. So it's gonna go up and it's gonna come back towards you. So really, I mean, you gotta get up, find the ball, stay behind it. You know, let it, because it's going to work back towards you. You know, and once you find where it's going to go and where you need to be, all right, you start working your way to the baseball. Then you toss your mask. You never want to drop your mask right off the bat, because then you might come back and be stepping on it, trip over it. You know, make an error. So you want to hold on to the mask, find the ball, and then once you start making your way towards the ball, that's when you toss your mask off to the side and make sure that it's out of the way. You know, and always try to keep the ball in front of you because it's going to work its way back.
Do you, when you go to a new ballpark for the first time, come out and investigate how much room you have and those types of things?
Sometimes, you know, I mean, that doesn't play too much of a factor into it. I mean, you're gonna, you know, be acclimated to it by the time the game starts, and you know, see how much room you've got back there. Really, you know, more than anything, I want to know what the weather's doing. If it's windy, you know, a lot of like at the diamond here, I mean, we kind of get sheltered from the wind a little bit back there behind the plate because the stands are so tall. You know, other places they're a little shorter, so the wind's going to play a little bit more of a factor. So I mean, more than anything, I want to know which way the wind's blowing, so I know which way the ball's going to go.
Now let's do quickly the other scenario. Foul ball still, and it's around your area, but it's forward for you, which means that one of the corner infielders, depending if it's up the first base side or third base side, is going to be involved in the play as well. What are you thinking there?
You know, these are a little more tough because you've got to work your way out in front of home plate and get turned around, you know, to where you can get that ball coming back into you. You know, if you see the ball up and in front and you start working this way, it's going to keep, you know, drifting away from you because of that spin. You know, so I mean, you're gonna make it a lot tougher on yourself to go this way to try to catch a ball, as opposed to getting out here and getting out in front first and then finding the baseball up top. You know, and then once you're out here, you know, the only time that I'll really call anything back behind the plate, I'll call it, you know, right away, just so, you know, either one of these corner guys try to come in and, you know, they don't need to go that far. You know, everything back here is mine. Once it gets out here into fair territory, it becomes a little bit of a different story. You know, I mean, you've got the first baseman, the third baseman that are going to be crashing in on you. So really, they have the right of way. I'm going to get out there, I'm going to find it, and if I'm camped and just standing here waiting for the ball to come down, I'm going to call it. You know, but as soon as they come in and call me off, I'm bailing, because they have priority over those fly balls because they're a little easier to catch.
All right, let's do this one time. We don't have Jay just here for no reason. He's going to participate right here. All right, Jax, throw that mask on. Our scenario is going to be, get a little bit ready here. Our scenario is going to be straight up over your right shoulder towards the backstop. So go ahead and get up as if that's already occurred.
I'm going to get up, find
Snap the mask off. There it goes.
He goes up,
toss it. Throws it away from himself, makes the catch. One take. That's how we do it here on FSI. Our thanks to Jackson Williams, our James Limousine Luxury Player of the Week. We come back. FSI continues and closes for this week. Any minor league baseball clubhouse comes with a revolving door already installed. Players are constantly walking into, and in many cases, out of our lives as fans and support staff. One of the biggest draws, in fact, of minor league baseball is having the opportunity to say we knew those major league superstars back when. Of course, we cheer the Brandon Belts, Crawfords, Joe Panics, and Chris Hestons of the baseball world, and will frequently recount our interactions with them to really anybody who will listen. But on the other side of minor league baseball, there are the guys we become personally invested in, the guys who battle valiantly for us, but who repeatedly haven't been given that promotion or the respect we feel they deserve. For every Buster Posey, there are countless more Darryl Madays, and for each Hunter Pence, there is an Eliezer Zambrano. These guys we know. These guys are our guys. They've been here a while, and we've gotten accustomed to their presence. We recognize, though, that like all the players, their time here may end at any time, and we root for that end in fact. But then, when they're actually gone, we miss them. This week, 2 of our guys returned to Richmond, one more improbably than the other, but the news of both greeted with knowing smiles. Edwin Kidarte and Ryan Lawless have both recently been added to the 2015 Squirrels roster, which for reasons we know are foolish, make everything seem right again. Because hey, we all had a childhood friend whose parents forced them to move away, and we all privately hoped that one day they would return as if they had never left. With that, we leave you, but only until our next episode. For all of us at FSI, I'm John Laser, saying thanks for joining us. We'll see you at the ballpark.
Production funding for Flying Squirrels Insider is made possible in part by
The smell of natural gas escaping is a pungent odor like rotten eggs, a bad smell for a really good reason, your safety. If you ever smell the strong rotten egg odor of natural gas, leave the area, go where the smell is no longer present, and call 911.
and James Limousine, driven to serve Richmond for 22 years. JamesLimousine.com, 804-273-1540.